more interested in spiritual things. Before that, I was pretty kind of straight-laced. And I did start meeting a lot of people. It seemed to put me on a certain path, let's say.
And that's part of the near-death experience. That's part of it. You then become much more, well, definitely less afraid of dying and much more connected to the spiritual world. So you
That
just become
seems,
to notice the people who also are more connected to the spiritual world. That leads you on that path. And you became a spiritual
Yeah, and
goer.
you know, I wouldn't say, well, I was interested somewhat in psychology before that, so it's not such a leap to go to the spiritual stuff, but I would definitely, if I even knew there was such a thing that I do now before that, I would think, what, you know, how full of shit is that? So,
Yeah.
and to tell you the truth, I'm still very skeptical about anyone who says they do what I do. So
Exactly. Exactly. Well, even with the mindfulness trend, even with everything that's happening, you always look, and if any of you, before you would ever buy anything, you'd have to look and see if it's John Kabat-Zinn, or if it's one of the pioneers in this, because there's a lot of spiritual materialism.
yeah.
And that's what, and people try to profit a lot.
Well, it's tricky because, so Donna knows my sister Barbara, who's a successful realtor, and she's always saying, you're not very good at the business part. I'm not. So she's, you know, I do want to make a living doing this.
Right. And you do have to put value on
Yeah,
it.
no, it helped when people, that is one thing I learned. I used to just want to help everyone. Like I said, with that woman who didn't sleep, and part of it was that, but not charging people usually doesn't serve people. And it's a tricky thing. Like, basically, because they have to be doing something. You know, it's, again, I don't really even know how to explain it, but I am skeptical about anyone who, basically in the whole world I live in, I'm skeptical when people do things. Plus, I also see people come to me. So in the way that I learned with this woman, it might have not been the right thing for her to sleep. People impose what they think healing is on people, and then there becomes these energetic forms, and it stops people from fulfilling their karma, basically. And that usually doesn't mean.
Could you explain karma? It's very hard to, dharma is easy to explain. It's just teachings, but karma is very different.
Well, to me, it's a composite of all the past lives we've had. Usually there are, well, this is your karma. So there are sometimes things that come down through certain lifetimes, okay? And they're just there. They're just, I mean, really, like I said, anything is karma. If you like to read, there's something that's karma. If you like to eat, whatever it is, there'll be karma, okay? There's also family karma that comes through your family. And within there, there's genetic karma and DNA karma. There's cultural karma, there's country karma, there's all sorts of things. And the way that I explain it is like, either if you're watching a sporting event, and you don't care who wins, that means you don't have any karma there. And you're just fine with it, whatever's going on. When you're rooting for one team, it's like, it can be upsetting, which happens to me sometimes, that if your team's losing. The other thing, and I used to talk to that really wealthy guy, he would ask about it, and I would say, it's sort of like when you're watching the ticker tape on CNBC, if you own one of the stocks, you really care about the price, if it's going up or down. If you don't, you can look at it more neutrally. So whenever you have something that's not like, oh yeah, that, and it doesn't have effect on you, sort of like you don't have any karma there, or you live through that karma.
But is there like a different, because I feel like people use the word karma like as in a way of like, that's what you get for doing like something. Like,
right, that's the negative.
That's karma.
Yeah.
You know, if you say call me a bad name, then you walk outside and you get hit by a car, like that's karma.
That's karma. It could be, but that's right.
Variation of the word.
That's negative karma.
Well,
I know what I mean.
Sakyong Mi Pham says, if you plant peaches, you get peaches. So if you're kind of, if you're doing good and being good, good things will happen to you. Usually.
Generally, that's true. Okay, so karma is like your life is a 4-lane highway, and you can go in different parts of that, okay? But if your karma is going that way, if there's something over there, you just won't be able to do it, okay? So that explanation is really cool because you have a bunch of choices here. It's very unusual that it's just this one simple line.
Ah.
Yeah.
Do you think someone's internal perception of self plays a role in that?
Well, yes, but everything. The way you think, I used to say to people, you have to get past some of these things, you have to realize everything you're thinking on the deepest level is wrong. And that just seems kind of harsh. It's more like you need to be gentle with it and understand our beliefs. Like, I mean, you think of things like, so when I was a kid, it's a funny story, I hardly ever drank orange juice, okay? And my next door neighbor, they drank orange juice all the time with all different meals. And it sort of disturbed me that they would drink orange juice with steak. Right, it seems weird, but they did it. And right, well so right there, that's a thing that you have, that's a certain belief about something that is like, why would it matter if someone drinks orange juice with steak? You know what I mean? It's like, so that's in there, then you start to look at, there must be a pattern underneath it. And then when I was in the master's program, I missed some of the classes. I happened to be in London and they were doing the same classes there. So I went to take some of the classes when I was there. And someone was drinking orange juice with lunch and all that stuff came up. And it's like, wow, like, how could I be so, who cares? I mean, why would orange juice mean something? So that's the kind of thing that happens, that there's some underlying thing underneath it. And that, to me, is a really good explanation of karma. So we want to try to understand, we want to be loving and nice to ourselves in there with that, and then find the things where we have that charge that can be beneficial in the world and foster that.
Questions? Do you know your past lives?
I do. I mean, I don't, when you say that now, I don't recall of anything right now, but, well, actually, yeah, there's, so when I look at past lives, it's normally because people are having an issue in something. Okay, so when my daughter's mother, who I was not married to, but I lived with for about 8 years, her mother-in-law, we got along really well, but so some things came up, and there was a past life there where it was like during the time of the knights, shining armor type thing. There was some fighting going on, and she was, I had a prestigious position as a knight with the royal family, and she was trying to take advantage of me to get in there, and that she wasn't really supposed to.
I do recall that.
Well, when you're asking me, I see that. I just remember one time. Yes?
Do you believe that hypnosis helps people to remember their past life?
I believe that it can, yeah. I mean, there are things that are like that do. In anything like that, it depends a lot on the person doing it.
Yeah.
Good.
You don't believe that the person who practiced the hypnosis places memories in a person?
Sometimes they do. That's why I said I'm very skeptical. It takes really letting go so much of what you think you might even know to not interfere. And even if to the point if someone has something physically wrong and you think, well, if they could just get up and walk, they'd be better, you need to let that go, and it needs to be this very wide open thing where it's like sometimes if there's colors, like a purple color can come in or white, but just this benevolent feeling that's beyond, like we use the term for the highest good, but then even people start to use that and it becomes an idea in their head. So it keeps, like I said, if you can put your finger on it, it's not it. You just become very open.
Yeah, open.
It's kind of cool. But,
label everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Question? So if anybody wants to learn the L breathing technique, come to the Student Center commuter lounge.
Okay, yeah, so we can, so there, usually, I think hypnosis can, but it's more like a guided meditation that could, I think that terminology, there is something in hypnosis that, well, a lot of people doing hypnosis are not doing something very clear.
Are you talking about past life regression?
Yes, that's like,
So like Brian Weiss.
yeah. Because I saw the people practice like hypnosis and do like regressions, but I'm a little skeptical too, because when they do hypnosis, it's like meditation, they tell you to imagine things. So maybe you're recreating whatever the person is telling you.
Yeah. Well, there is a way of sort of checking things out and then waiting to see how it feels. And so it sort of helps to jumpstart. So when I'm working with people, I have all sorts of lists. Like if there's something, and I'll just go through the list. That can be okay. Again, like I said, I'm very skeptical of any of that stuff. So the meditation I do is the person goes through this beautiful door, and there's all these doors down the hallway, and they can choose which one. And sometimes it helps people see something. Can you prove it's a past life? No. Does it matter if it feels something good happens for the person? I don't know. The information is not the focus of what I do. Although it's very cool when I see someone, I go, oh, what's this? And they go, how do you know that? It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Sylvia Brown does that for people to connect to their spirit guides.
Yeah.
A beautiful meditation. It just gets you there. You can connect to your spirit guides.
So this guy Rashad Field is someone that I learned a lot from. The Mevlevi Dervishes. Someone named John Roger, who passed away a few years ago, also wrote some really good books. But he has this thing, the way to describe it is called etc. And it's true. And he always says you should check out what you get, but there's always more. Again, our mind wants to try to limit things to understand it, but there's always more.
I'll write these down and I'll put them.
Okay.
Be able to.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Brock. If anybody would like to learn more about the L breathing technique, we're going to be in the Student Center Commuter Lounge in about 10
So
minutes.
I'm going to ask Donna to give me your emails. Is that okay? And I'll send you like
If
a
that's-
follow-up thing.
Yeah, if that's okay.
Okay, great.
Have a good day.
Thank you
very
Finish.
much.
Thanks for your questions.
I can handle that. Stacy.